The self-awareness thing is a problem. And for everyone talking about Deshaun Watson's millions and millions, listen, guys, they're all richer than we're ever going to be. Just chalk that up. But one thing that you got to get to is the most disappointing part about it. And I don't know if they had this grown man conversation with him, but they might need to have the conversation with Amari Cooper and say, listen, Amari, it didn't work out the way you thought it was supposed to. And you've been a professional your entire career. We had a tough negotiation. You may not have gotten what you think you deserve. And sometimes, that doesn't work out for both sides at the end of the day. But what we need you to do is we need you to lock in. Not saying you ain't locked in. I'm not going to accuse you of that. But we need Amari Cooper to be Amari Cooper. We can't win football games if you're not actively a part of what we're doing. And right now, he looks mentally checked out.
Yeah.
He just does. And you can't, and look, Jeudy came and talked about how big that was for him to come here because he looked up to Amari Cooper and like Amari Cooper was that dude. And
I know.
And so when you ain't pulling the ball in, and I like what Ross Tucker said, well, maybe it's time to start going to look for Jeudy instead of Amari Cooper, because we can't have you do that. Because when you do that, it encourages other people to say it's not that big of a deal. And I'm telling you, when you be in these locker rooms and you put that much work into it, you are there looking out for your other teammates, man. Like we're on a show here, right? Like, if I didn't bring it every day, or Jay didn't bring it, or Bull didn't bring it, it don't just hurt me, it hurt everybody. The producers can't talk. What's Steve gonna say back there? I gotta bring it. Everybody gotta do their job. And right now, there's so many people not doing their job, and there's no accountability from the head guy saying
that's fair.
There needs to be consequences. If you jump off sides, bring them off the field and sit them. It ain't doing. We've 1-3 anyway. What's the worst that's gonna hurt, Jay?
No, I agree with that 100%. And Bull, to your point, I know I bring it up, the two-time Coach of the Year, but if you look at the last four, I mean, obviously Stefanski's been in there twice, but Vrabel was the Coach of the Year, I think, the year before. He's out of a job.
Bye.
Oftentimes, these guys get fired within a year or two.
Because
the NFL is not for long. I mean,
what's his name, who's now with Jacksonville, win Coach of the Year in Philly?
And he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Peterson.
Doug Peterson.
Yeah.
Now, he's on the hot seat.
Sure.
Sirianni was considered a genius 2 years ago.
Oh, God.
He's got to be on the hot seat.
Listen, if you listen to Philly Talk Radio,
oh my God, I can't even imagine.
They want to hang him by his feet over the football stadium and let him die there. They're done with him.
Crazy.
Amari Cooper, guys.
Before you get further on Amari Cooper, did you have to jump in, Anthony?
He was saying we can go with this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
fine.
Like, this, I would have never foresaw this. Out of anybody, I would have never foresaw that.
Well, you know what? We asked the question when Amari came out and tweeted, I would have been fine with the trade. I texted Mike that day and I said, tomorrow we got to ask, is this going to affect Amari Cooper's play? And I was concerned about it, but everybody else was like, no, he's a pro.
It's crazy.
And you guys kind of talked me into that.
Yeah.
But this is not Amari Cooper. Now, then he goes and gets open on an 82-yard touchdown pass, and you're like, okay, that's the guy. But the drops in crucial spots, that's not who he is.
It's hard to believe.
The body language, the apathetic play.
I think that's it. I think it's subconscious. He's not saying, I think I'm going to drop this ball. That's not what he's saying. His mind isn't in Cleveland. And listen, I cannot blame him. During that entire Ayuk situation, why was it that more information was getting out of Cleveland's camp than Pittsburgh and New England? Why was it that, and look, that's a button-up problem. There's too many people that know about that trade. Good organizations never let that stuff get out, because if it gets out and the trade falls through, now you got a disgruntled employee on your hands. Same thing happened with Baker.
By the way,
all of the stuff with Deshaun Watson was out in public.
To that point, as critical as I am at ownership for not spending money, and will remain critical, the Guardians' trades rarely come out. Like, their trades are usually surprises.
Listen, because their front office is buttoned up.
Yeah.
They're not talking to the media relations guy about it. They've got a circle of trust, whether it's 2 or 3 people. And that's the way it should be, and you have to understand that you can't let that get out. Yet it's reported widely that Amari Cooper's part of the deal.
That being said, though, you got to be a pro if you're Amari Cooper.
I get that, but Bull, and again, I'm not saying he's doing this intentionally.
I know.
Here's what he said when the news flash came up on his TV that Amari Cooper's part of the trade talks. The second that happens, go back to junior high. You hear about your girlfriend is talking to someone else. You're done. Yeah. Even if it doesn't work out for her and him, and now she comes back to you, you're done.
I don't know about you, Jay. I wasn't getting any action in junior high. Look at Jay. Got a girlfriend in junior high.
Okay, let's say high school. Let's say high school.
No.
You know,
well, I'm embarrassed to admit I was getting no action in high school.
When they give up on you, typically you're like, you're lost. I'm gone. I'm done.
Hey, no.
And he even tweeted as much, and the guy doesn't tweet.
That's true. That's fair.
Once again, I got to put it in an analogy. It's just like, look, say we sit here on the show, and they say, yo, we got, UCSS get all the free agents. Somebody walk in out of nowhere, and they be like, oh, we paying him twice than everybody that work here.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
They like, what the heck? What the heck?
And that's why there are certain things that from management you just got to hold tight to. And you don't share them with other people that are going to sink the ship with loose lips.
Because what'll happen is the perception is, and this is the truth, you equate in business how somebody feel about you, not by what they say, by what they pay. And so when you get Jeudy that comes in,
that too, yeah.
And they give him a deal, sight unseen.
When he's done nothing.
And then you sit here and
all for potential.
You said, okay, I ain't gonna trip. I'm not gonna lose it. But then you sit back and say, well, I know they're gonna take care of me when I go to the negotiation table. And then you get there, and then the number they slide to you is grossly under what you think you're worth. Then you start thinking, you look around, dang, Justin Jefferson got it. Jamar Chase got it. Dang, these dudes is just re-upping every single week. Where's my money? And then they give you that offer, and that offer is like, not only is it not what you want, it don't have no long-term security. It's basically like, you're done after this.
It's a bridge to get to you so they can release you after next year or trade you.
And then in your mind at that point, you saying, so you mean to tell me I put up these numbers with P.J. Walker, DTR, Deshaun Watson with a bad shoulder, and Flacco? This is what I get, and I did it. When everybody else was hurt, I was hurt too. I could have had surgery, and I didn't get a number.
Meantime, you went out and got a guy that was being thrown to by Russell Wilson and put up not great numbers, and you paid him like you're like, wow, I think they've got these contracts switched. And Cooper should have got the good deal, and
Jeudy
should have got the Cooper deal.
The 1 year prove it. So he's sitting there, and you got to also take into consideration the baggage that you bring into certain things. When he was he was a first round draft pick for the Raiders. Raiders gave up on him. We'll trade him. He went to Dallas. Was the number one receiver. They basically said, you're washed. We're going to bring in CeeDee Lamb. That's our guy. You're done. We'll trade you for a 5th round pick. So you have a complex after a certain while, like, you know what? I put up numbers. I've been quiet. I don't say nothing. I just come to work, do my job, and this is what you think of me. So, yeah, I can see where it is. I always said this too, Bull, and this is the last thing I'll say. The Browns are handing out money like it's candy. They handing Wyatt Teller new money. Jack Conklin got new money. They done restructured Jeudy. Deshaun Watson get a brand new upload of money every single year. David Njoku done got paid. JOK just got Grant Delpit got something. The kicker got, and you telling me.
You get a contract. You get a contract. Cooper gets trade talks.
And you got the most cap in the world. Even if you know you overpaying somebody, sometimes you just pay so they can act right. Go ahead and give them a couple extra million. You won't want no problems. When you always have if an employee,
a happy employee is a good employee.
If an employee think that they ain't getting paid enough or they being disrespected, they're going to corrupt at least 2 to 3 other guys. It's better to overpay.
Does he get traded?
They can't afford to.
If they lose their next 2 games, he does.
Yeah, well, if they,
I don't think they're going to do it right now.
See, I know that we don't have time today. This is for a topic for later in the week. But the topic is, at what point is this season a wash?
Oh Lord.
And when you look at the next 4, not Washington, really the next 5.
Although Philly looks terrible too.
Philly looks beatable.
Yeah.
But if by some crazy look, they can beat the Browns. The Browns don't look any better than they do.
Yeah.
Man.
If they lose 4 of the next 5, the season is officially over.
Oh yeah. I think if they lose the next 2, it's over.
I think so
At
too.
1 and 5,
you can't go 1 and 5 and make the playoffs. Not in this division. Especially when the Ravens look like the Ravens again and the Bengals offense looks like the Bengals offense again. It's unthinkable to me that this season could be over by Halloween.
I can't
But
do
we're
that.
staring that straight down the barrel.
Jay.
And at what point, and I don't even know what you do in terms of gathering resources, but we finally have our first-round draft pick again, finally.
Although I just read this morning from Jim Nagy, who runs the Senior Bowl.
Yeah,
He said
Quality of draft.
Yeah, quality of draft is not great.
It's not deep.
No.
Not deep.
But, by the way, if the Browns are like 1 and 5, 1 and 6, something like that.
Do you start playing for the 1?
Well, beyond that, I'm saying there's going to be teams calling about Myles Garrett that will give up a lot. And I don't know what they'll do in that scenario, but
Is that something? Do you take those calls, G? If you're 1 and 6, are you literally you put Chubb in mothballs, you get whatever you can for Myles Garrett, and you start looking at a rebuild? Are you there yet?
I can't.
I know. I don't know
it's
how
hard
many
to
of those
wrap
I
your
can
head
go
around
through.
that right
Like
at this point.
Like y'all gotta understand. That's why I be mad.
Imagine being 59.
But,
Do you know how many of those I've seen?
That-
now having to think, because you're talking 3 or 4 or 5 years away.
Yeah, Jay.
Like I'm running out of ticks.
Like